Time now for the Nissan Thrilling Play of the Week, and thanks to Nissan as a sponsor. San Francisco's star quarterback threw for 314 yards and 4 touchdowns, 3 of those to his star wide receiver, while Philadelphia's quarterback was checked for a concussion in their 42-19 loss at home on Sunday night. The fiery NFC Championship game rematch also featured 6 straight possessions in which San Francisco was able to score. They are now 9-3 on the season, while Philadelphia is 10-2. Philadelphia was a little bit scared as their quarterback jogged off the field in the fourth quarter and went straight to the locker room. He was cleared to play and return to action with about 10 minutes left. But by the time he got back, San Francisco was up 35-13. The last 4 games, Philadelphia has been able to come back from behind and win, but not today. San Francisco is 33-1 when leading by 8+ points under their head coach. Thanks to Nissan for presenting us with our weekly thrilling play. And remember, for endless thrills like more fun, more action, more guts, Nissan has the vehicle for you. From sports cars, sedans, and EVs to pickups and crossovers, at Nissan, more is all they do.
Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
I'm Snoop Dogg, and I'm giving up smoke. I know what you're thinking. Snoop, smoke is kind of your whole thing. But I'm done with it. I'm done with the coughing and my clothes smelling all funky. I'm going smokeless. Solo Stove Fix 5. They took out the smoke. Now you can have a nice blaze without any clouds ruining your day. Go smokeless. Go to solostove.com. Tell them Big Snoop Dogg sent you.
It's time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers Web Zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al and Brian.
49ers Web Zone, No Huddle Podcast, part of the Odyssey Network. I am Al Sacco. He is Brian Rennick, and we're doing our 3rd show this week. 3 of them. We are the hardest working podcast going right now. 3 shows this week. Brian, here's where my head is right now. After watching the Niners annihilate, I was about to say the Seahawks. They're about to annihilate the Seahawks.
Yeah, they are.
After watching them annihilate the Eagles, after watching what they did to the Jags, after watching what they did to the Seahawks a couple weeks ago, this team just after the bye, they look so good. And all I'm thinking about right now is getting the bye week in the playoffs, getting the best record and how that can happen.
Yeah, and here's the beauty of it. I think this Seahawks. I did it too. I think
you did the same thing I did, my man.
I think this Eagles beatdown wasn't just cathartic, right, for the team, for the fans, whatever. But honestly, I think it bodes well for this week because I don't know, when you get just curb stomped like the Eagles did by who I would assume they believe to be their biggest rival for NFC supremacy. And then you have to face the only other team, arguably, that either A, again, can challenge you, or B, will challenge you for your division title the following week after having also played 90+ defensive snaps against the Bills 2 weeks ago, right? Like, it just builds up. And so and not only that, the Eagles haven't won in Dallas in 5 years. They're 0-5 in Dallas the last 5 times. So now all of a sudden, this is a must-win game for the Eagles. And it looks like Jalen Hurts is not right. And that definitely helped the 49ers. But I think that Eagles victory was a huge momentum push towards the 49ers getting that 1 seed, because if the Niners beat the Seahawks on Sunday and the Eagles lose to the Cowboys, the 49ers have the 1 seed and they're in the catbird seat for the bye, which is humongous, just humongous.
Yeah, let's look at the schedule. So there's 4 teams really that have a shot at this. It's the Niners, it's the Eagles, it's the Lions, and it's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys also have a shot at this bye. So let's
Mhm.
look at their schedules and let's see realistically what we think can happen here.
Yeah.
I am an incredibly pessimistic person. I always think of things to worry about, and I can't see any motherfuckers who could beat the 49ers right now. None.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am. If they're healthy and they're
Correct.
whole,
Correct.
I don't see it. So when you look at the Niners schedule, Seattle, I don't even think it's going to be a game. The Cards, don't even think it's going to be a game. The Ravens is the one to
Yes.
circle because they're
Yes.
a very good team. But the way the 49ers are playing, they're not just winning games 20-17. Hey, we squeaked this one out. They are curb stopping people. They are curb stopping good teams. They will be favored, and I will pick them to win that game as well. They will destroy Washington and the Rams last game of the season. If it matters, that's a win too. So I'm going into this exercise with the Niners being 5-0 with the rest of the season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we've talked about it. That Ravens game is the most difficult game left on their schedule by a long shot. And I have a supreme level of confidence in this team. I don't know what to expect out of that Ravens team. That team can look dominant at times and then lose to the Steelers or lose to teams. They lost. If I'm not mistaken, this Ravens team lost to the Colts, I believe. So like, I don't know what to think of this team. The one worry I have, I'm not worried about Baltimore's offense. I'm really not. I think this 49ers defense is the best defense that they've had, especially personnel wise, probably in the Shanahan tenure. When you look at, even though they don't have DeForest Buckner right in the middle, that 2009 defense was really good, but you've got Hargrave, but now you've got Hargrave, Young, Armstead, Bosa, Gregory, right? Like it's wild. And then not only that, but this is, I think, easily the best secondary that they've had as a unit. And I think we are starting to see Steve Wilkes's influence on the back end, right, is finally matched what's happening on the front end. And it is creating a really, really, really impressive defensive unit. So I'm not super worried about Baltimore's offense. What I am worried about is Baltimore's defense. It is by DVOA the best defense in the NFL. They are incredibly multiple. They are hard to predict. They remind me a little bit of a Bill Belichick defense where they can essentially match up with whatever offense that they're facing in the moment. So I am a little worried about it, but I still have a lot of confidence. It is a home game. The Ravens will be traveling across country. It's going to be a great game. I don't, just like against the Eagles, I didn't predict a blowout. I won't predict a blowout on that game either. But I agree with you that outside of that game, there's really no reason to think that the 49ers could lose any game through the rest of the season.
So their main competition is obviously Philly. And you mentioned Philly's playing the Cowboys. I agree with what you were saying. Philly and the Cowboys, it seems like they split every single year. And if you look at this Philadelphia team, the last 3 games, they should have lost to Kansas City. They should have lost to Buffalo. They get destroyed by the Niners. Like you said, Jalen Hurts, who knows what's going on with him. We've heard he had a bad knee earlier in the season. He got a concussion, I guess, last game, but then there's some rumors it might be his lower body. There's a lot of weird stuff like, is he healthy going on right now? So, but that's a gigantic game. If you're a Niners fan, you better turn into that game with your Cowboys gear on, because if Philly does win that game, they have the Seahawks, the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. Odds are if they have to win those games, they will win those games.
Oh, so what's their last game?
So it's Cowboys this week, Seahawks, Giants, Cards, Giants.
Giants, okay.
Yeah, so Giants twice in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Really easy. So if they win this week, they're probably going 15-2. You have to really root. And as much as I hate, no 49ers fan wants to root for the Cowboys this week, you have to do it. Detroit.
You're not rooting for the Cowboys. You're rooting against the Eagles.
There you go. That's a better way to look at it. Definitely. Detroit can win out, but they haven't looked really good lately. They've looked a little bit off, and their defense suspect. Yeah. And I guess this week they're supposed to be like 90-mile-an-hour winds or something ridiculous in Chicago, whatever it is. So who knows what's going to happen that week. but they have the Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings. Cowboys is tough there. You never know with the division games, but Detroit could win out. But even if they do, and Philly loses this game this week, and the Niners win out, if they all have 3 losses, the Niners have beat Philly, and the Niners have a better conference record than Detroit. So I don't know what's in Detroit. I see another loss or 2 maybe in there for them, though. I'm not worried about them going.
Yeah, I think Detroit's going to lose at least 1 more game, probably 2. I don't know what happened to the Broncos when they gave up 70 to the Dolphins, and I was like, there's no way that Vance Joseph can continue to coach this team, and for whatever reason, they've been able to pull it together on that side of the ball. And they just lost to the Texans to break their 5-game win streak, but that team has looked pretty good. Not great, not, even the offense doesn't look great. Wilson, his numbers are kind of a mirage, but that defense, that Broncos defense has been playing pretty decent. And I feel like with the way that Detroit's defense has been playing, I think they could lose that game to the Broncos. I also think they'll lose that game to the Cowboys. And so I'm not worried about Detroit. It really is. It really, to me, is a 3-team race between the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys, which is why you got to root against the Eagles this week, which would give all 3 of them 3 losses. And then, you just got to put the pedal to the metal and win out to get that bye.
Dallas's remaining schedule, it's pretty tough. And honestly, if they do win out, I think Dak is going to win MVP. They have the Eagles, the Bills, who, aren't having a good season, but they can, in any game, they can put up 40. The Dolphins, the Lions, and Washington. Woo! So Dallas has got a pretty there's definitely another loss in there, and maybe even 2. So Dallas is another team I'm not worried about getting the bye just because of that schedule. So to me, it still looks like this Philly Cowboys game is huge, and then the Eagles are the team that you have to worry about.
Yeah, my hope for this weekend is a 49ers victory, an Eagles loss. I'm not going to say who the victory would go to if the Eagles lose, but a 49ers victory, an Eagles loss, and a Dolphins victory. Because if that happens, that means that the NFC 1 seed is the 49ers, and the current AFC 1 seed is Mike McDaniel and those Miami Dolphins. And I love to see it. And by the way, if you have not tuned in to midseason Hard Knocks, do yourself a favor and do it. It's awesome. Watching that Dolphins team, getting to see Mike McDaniel kind of get the spotlight. I love it. It's fantastic.
Oh, on HBO?
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen that.
It's awesome. It's fantastic. The one bummer is episode 2, a lot of Jalen Phillips. And then that's the game that he tore his Achilles. And
it's just like, right. Yeah, that's a huge injury for them.
And that's a huge letdown at the end of the, going into the episode, I was like, oh man, I know what happens. And now I got to watch this. And it was just like the whole time you're just like, oh, you just feel so bad for the guy. But yeah, that in-season Hard Knocks with the Dolphins is fantastic. And like I said, I'm just a huge Mike McDaniel fan. He might be like one of my favorite people on the planet. So, but yeah, do yourself a favor if you're listening, and Al, you do yourself a favor, watch that. It's really good.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay red hot at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You've been thinking about joining? There's no better time than right now. We're in the sports solstice, if you will. Spreads, props, totals, and more. Every sport on the planet is playing, and you can get it at FanDuel.com. So visit FanDuel.com/2400 and get involved with the NFL season. It's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
Make this holiday season one you'll remember forever with an engagement ring from JamesAllen.com. James Allen knows each love story is unique. That's why they make it easy to custom design engagement rings at up to half the price of a traditional jeweler. Choose from tons of conflict-free diamonds, both earth-created and lab-created. Then pick your ring setting and metal. Make your holiday engagement truly magical. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com code podcast. Make this holiday season one you'll remember forever with an engagement ring from JamesAllen.com. James Allen knows each love story is unique. That's why they make it easy to custom design engagement rings at up to half the price of a traditional jeweler. Choose from tons of conflict-free diamonds, both earth-created and lab-created. Then pick your ring setting and metal. Make your holiday engagement truly magical. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com code podcast.
Okay, I wanted to switch gears to saw Alan Stiles put up a tweet today of the top quarterbacks by the Ringer, Steven Ruiz. Now, if you know me, Brian knows me. Brian will come on the show and some other guys, and they're like, "Did you see what this guy said on Twitter? Did you see this?" And I'm like, "Guys, who gives a shit what these people say? I couldn't care less what somebody on Twitter said or this clown said. I don't care." But for some reason, I'm getting more and more fired up with these kind of know-it-all, smarter than the room, never played the game, at least at a high level, type guys who are coming in and telling us who the great QBs are. These are the type of dudes to me, Brian, that if they were around, when we grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, they would, after Super Bowl 24, was it? When the Niners beat the number one defense Broncos 55-10, and Joe Montana throws 5 touchdown passes and is unbelievable. Their article the next day would have been why John Elway is still better than Joe Montana, because
100%.
His arm strength or their stupid ass metrics. Like that's what we live in right now. That's what we're dealing with. This kind of shit where you have these people who have a voice that are putting out these rankings based on these stupid ass stats that have nothing to do with what's going on the field. And I said, we're going to go over this list. The top quarterback, Purdy was 20th, if you haven't seen it. So we're going to go over the top 19 and see what he said.
Yeah. And this came out today. We're not talking about new. This ranking. Yeah. This ranking isn't like weeks old. He updates it every week. So he updated this ranking after this Eagles annihilation and still has Brock Purdy 20th. So,
and these guys sit there and they watch their little film on their all 22, and they take 5 or 6 minutes to however long it takes them to, look how this play is developing. And this guy is coming this way. When you play in the NFL, the speed is unbelievable. You have about 2.5 seconds to decide what you're going to do before someone who's 300 pounds kills you. You don't even have any frame of reference when you're doing some of these things. You don't know where the play is supposed to go. You don't know what they told them in the huddle. You don't know what they practiced this week. You don't know what they saw on film. Okay, so I'll tell a story. I got a buddy who he grew up out in San Diego, and he moved to the East Coast here where I am. And he played like high school football. He played in
is it Daniel Jeremiah?
It is not. No, it is not. I don't think he played college ball, but it might have been like a D2. I don't know where he played college ball, but I know he played in college. He was a linebacker. Okay. He's in the high school Hall of Fame. Like he was like for his high school. He was a big athlete. Now he played the team with Alex Smith and Reggie Bush in high school out there, because they played together on the same team. He doesn't talk
high school.
Is that whether they were? Okay. So he doesn't talk. He's not the type of guy he doesn't tell a lot of war stories. We're drinking beers one day and it came up and I was just asking him about it. He's like, listen, I was a pretty good player. Like I could tackle. He said, I went to tackle Reggie Bush and he just wasn't there. He's like, I don't know where he went. He's like, you don't understand how fast guys that are on that next level are until you're there. He said he was just different than everybody else. Like the guy physically wasn't there. So that's what people I don't think understand when they're looking at this too. You're playing against these high level elite athletes, dudes who are 270 and run a 4.4. If you're playing at the level of Brock Purdy, I don't care what offense you're in, you're doing something right. You're doing something very right. And there are not 19 quarterbacks, 2 of which aren't even in the NFL, who are better than you. So, all right.
They're the 1% of the 1% in the NFL.
Exactly. Yeah. So give me a break when we're nitpicking things for somebody who leads the league in almost, a lot of
every meaningful category.
Yeah, for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So what he does is he has this system where there's, I don't know, whatever rankings he has. And by each quarterback, he has their ranking for EPA per play, success rate, and CPOE. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Completion percentage over expected.
Okay.
That's what CPOE stands for.
I don't know what the hell that means.
It's an advanced
stat.
So
it's an advanced stat. CPO meaning football. I'm just going to Google it.
It's completion percentage over expected. So basically.
So air distance from the sideline, target separation from the nearest defender, and the quarterback's distance from the closest pass rusher, pass speed, and time to throw. Who the hell is time to figure this shit out? Anyway, so this is what he's basing this on. Holy shit. All right, so his number 1 quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Moving on.
Fair.
Great. Number 2, Josh Allen. Now, Josh is phenomenal, and we see what he can do when he's on. He's had a lot of games this year where that offense has not looked good. He's made a lot of bonehead throws, but based on these metrics, his EPA per play is 3rd, his success rate is 2nd, his CPOE is 4th. I'm not going to argue with you if you think Josh Allen's the 2nd best quarterback in the league, because when all things are right, maybe he is. The guy's an alien.
I'm surprised it wasn't Justin Herbert, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I imagine he's 3.
He's coming because the nerds love Justin Herbert. So he's the 3rd best quarterback, Brian.
Yeah.
But his EPA per play is 11th. His success rate is 15th, and his CPOE is 20th. But I'm sure that's everybody's fault other than Justin Herbert. Sure, none of that is Justin Herbert's fault.
Yep.
The nerds love Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
No, number 4 is Lamar. Don't have a huge issue with that.
Yeah.
Number 5, Dak Prescott.
Okay.
And the way he's playing this year, again, don't have an issue. His EPA per play is 2nd. Success rate is 3rd. CPOE is 4th. Is 6th. He's having a phenomenal year. And based on this guy's metrics, fine. His
EPA per play is 2nd to who?
It just says 2nd.
It's 2nd to Brock Purdy.
Oh, we'll get there. No, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm saving it like a fine wine. I'm going to open it.
I love it.
Number 6, another guy.
We're letting it breathe right now.
I'm going to let it breathe right now. It's breathing out. We'll see. Another guy the nerds just love, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Got Trevor Lawrence in his 14 touchdown passes as the 6th best quarterback. I don't know about that. Do not know about that. Number 7, Matthew Stafford, who, according to his stats, EPA per play 13th, success rate 21st, CPOE 36th, but he's the 7th best quarterback in the NFL. Does that make sense?
To Steven Ruiz, it does.
I mean, write an article and make yourself look stupid like the whole way. Holy shit. 8th is Jalen Hurts. I'd have him higher. 9th, this one's great. Kyler Murray, who's played what? 4 games this year?
Is it even 4? I don't think it's that many.
And do you want to hear his where he falls here on these metrics that he has?
Yes.
26th, 30th, and 37th.
Awesome.
But he's the ninth best QB.
Yep.
Number 10, Geno Smith. I mean, are you kidding?
Nerds love Geno Smith too.
Yeah, he's another.
More specifically than nerds, Steven Ruiz loves Geno Smith. Like it's a bit now on their podcast.
Oh, is it really? I don't listen to his podcast.
Not
I
a
might
bit
listen to
like
a few of their episodes.
Yeah, not a bit like in funny. It's a bit like it just is known that Steven Ruiz loves Geno Smith.
Number 11. This is where it gets a little insulting. Tom Brady, because I don't know if he's trying to be funny, but he's saying if Brady came back in, he could still be top 11. Which the way he played last year, I think there's guys below him that are playing better than him. Mm-hmm. I guess he's trying to be funny. Number 12, Tua. Too low for Tua. Agree. And his, again, EPA per play 4th, success rate fourth, CPOE third. But again, I'm sure with the way he looks at it, that's more Mike McDaniel than Tua.
Right.
Because that's how these guys look at these things.
Totally.
And there's partial truth in that, but
sure,
not to what they lean on it. 13th is CJ Stroud. I have no issue with him being up there. Probably put him higher the way he's played.
Yeah.
14 is Jared Goff, which is probably about where Jared Goff should be. I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
15, this is another one. Jordan Love has played last 3 or 4 games. He's played very well.
Very well.
He was not playing well before that.
No.
So again, if you want to put Jordan Love in this range, that's fine. But to put him ahead of Brock Purdy, a little strange to me.
Right.
Russell Wilson, 16th. It's probably where he would fall this year. I don't have a huge issue with him in 16 there. His CPOE is first. So again, based on this metric. Number 17, Drake May. Brian, does Drake May play in the NFL?
Drake May does not. Drake May plays for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels and will be drafted.
Okay.
And will be drafted number 2 overall in April.
So even though there's about a 37% success rate of first round picks for quarterbacks,
right,
he thinks Drake May is already the 17th best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be the worst of all of them. Number 18, Derek Carr, who's been
my God, he listed Derek Carr above Brock Purdy.
Atrocious. If you want to lose all credibility,
oh my God,
all credibility,
what are we doing?
Carr has arm strength. He's reasonably accurate. He knows his fair share of ball. He's also an underrated athlete. Great, yeah, awesome. His biggest strength is his arm talent. It's a shame he isn't more willing to push the ball downfield. He's got the requisite arm talent. And when he's confident, given time in the pocket, he can be one of the league's best deep passers. Okay, man. But his biggest weakness is what's frustrating about him is his reluctance to improvise. He's faster than he looks. He's agile, and he can make strong throws on the moves. More and more quarterbacks are making plays outside the pocket, and guys like Carr have been left behind. But he's still 18th, better than Brock Purdy. Number 19, Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Again, did he get drafted? And I didn't see that.
No. Last time we saw Caleb Williams, he was snubbing reporters after another loss at USC, but he is projected to be the number 1 overall pick to the Chicago Bears in April.
So number 20 comes our boy Brock Purdy. Now, we mentioned some of the metrics that Steven Ruiz has put in here next to every quarterback: EPA per play, success rate, and CPOE.
1.
Do you want to guess Purdy's ranks in those 3, Brian?
1, and I actually don't know about CPOE, but I know success rate and EPA per play. He's 1,
and CPOE he's 2.
Okay,
so this metric that you're using next to, and I assume you're using it in your formula because it's listed next to every single quarterback. Mm-hmm. This guy is first, and second, and you have him 20th. Why? Yep. Biggest weakness, according to him, his pocket presence. Some of that creativity comes at a cost. Purdy doesn't see the field well from a muddled pocket, and while he's hanging in there a bit longer in 2023, a big factor of his improvement year over year is still the weakest aspect of his game. Not even remotely true. Where the hell did this guy get this from? But then he says his biggest strength is he's always hunting for the big play. If that requires him to spin out of the pocket and make a throw on the run, he's got just enough athleticism and arm talent to do it. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Yeah. They almost contradict each other, his strength and his weakness.
Yeah.
I don't even know what.
It's an axe to grind at this point. It's an axe to grind. And I said this to you, I think before we started recording, the fact that he has Tom Brady, Caleb Williams, and Drake May in there just tells me that there's no reason at all to put any credence to anything that he's put in this article, regardless of if he tries to explain his process or anything. Because again, the analytics that you're using has him 1, 1, and 2, and you have him at 20. That's nothing more than just leaning into your own bias and just refusing to admit that your initial take was wrong. And you're just standing on it and hoping against hope that at some point this kid comes back down to earth, in quotation marks, so that you can be right. And the reality is there's nothing that we have seen that says that that's going to happen for Brock Purdy. Can you point to his 3-game losing streak? Sure. But in the end of the day, against Cleveland, he led them back for a game-winning field goal that Jake Moody lost. Against the Vikings, he was concussed for the fourth quarter, and that's when he threw his 2 interceptions. And then against the Bengals, he was A, coming off a concussion, but B, if you actually look at his game, that game was lost because the Bengals did whatever they wanted against the 49ers defense. But Brock Purdy threw for over 300 yards that game. He had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Is that a great game? No. Is that a game where you would probably normally lose? I would say probably not. So again, I mean, it just, at this point, it's just an axe to grind. It's just a bit. Mm-hmm. It is just, to me, it's, I will say this, 49er fans are easy marks when it comes to, if you speak poorly about their team, their fans are going to come find it, engage with it. And even if it's negative, that's still positive in this media environment now, right? It's all about clicks, all about eyes, all about all of that. So to me, that's what this is. But here's the thing. Like, we talked to people like Peter King, and Peter King's like, yeah, I think he's probably if we were voting today, he'd probably be my vote, right? You talk to guys like Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's like, this guy's been incredible. JT O'Sullivan, this guy's been incredible, right? The interesting thing about Steven Ruiz is it was yesterday. I think he knew that this was coming out. So, he had tweeted, one thing that he had tweeted was, what skills did Jimmy Garoppolo possess that made him successful within this offense? And here's the thing. And I'm going to read some stuff here in a second, but if you actually dig into the underlying numbers, Jimmy Garoppolo actually wasn't that good. The team was, and the team continued to win, but Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't necessarily that good. He was fine, but he wasn't great by any means. And then people started talking about Brock Purdy, and then, right, because obviously that's what he was doing. And then somebody said something, which we have talked about how, and I think they specifically used Kurt Warner, said, but why is Kurt Warner pointing out how good he is? And Ruiz's response was to reply with a meme that said, appeal to authority, logical fallacy. And I was like, wait a second, right? Like, I understand logical fallacies. I understand the appeal to authority, logical fallacy, right? But here's the thing. The authority is Kurt Warner. The authority is somebody who has played the position at the highest level, has won an MVP, is a Hall of Famer, understands the game inside and out because he played it at a high level. That's not appealing to authority. That's not a logical fallacy because Kurt Warner played. It's not that he played. It's how well he played. It is his accomplishments. Saying that it doesn't matter what Kurt Warner thinks because that's a logical fallacy, appeal to authority. I said that would be me, like, that would be if I went to my neighbor and I was like, hey, look at this wound on my arm. Do you think it's infected? And the neighbor goes, no. And then I go to the doctor. The doctor's like, oh my God, that is wildly infected. We need to do something. And I go, you know what? My neighbor told me that it wasn't infected. And just because you're an authority doesn't mean that I should just believe you, right? Like, what are we talking about? If the person that is talking about it played it at the highest level, that is not a logical fallacy appeal to authority. That is somebody that knows what they're talking about. And the people that know what they're talking about, not you, not me, not Steven Ruiz, Kurt Warner, JT O'Sullivan, Peter King, right? All of these people, they love Brock Purdy. They are impressed with what Brock Purdy is doing. Richard Sherman, another one, super impressed with what Brock Purdy is doing. So miss me with your attempt at devaluing what it is that Brock Purdy is doing simply because he's making it look easy. And I think, honestly, that's the biggest issue that everybody has. There's no reason why the guy picked last in last year's draft should be making playing quarterback in the NFL look this easy. So there's got to be reasons why. It can't be Brock Purdy. There's got to be other reasons. And the reality is it is Brock Purdy. Do his weapons and his coach help? 100%. But you still have to go out there and produce, because the guys that have been in that position since Shanahan was here did not do that, or did not do that nearly to the level that Brock Purdy has. And so it's just, to me, it's just lame. And somebody posted this on Twitter today. And so I want to read it to you. I'm going to leave out all the names, right? I'm just going to give you some raw stats. There's three guys here, right? And I'm not going to give all of them. I'll give the ones that I think are most important. Okay. So these are 3 quarterbacks. Okay. 3 seasons that quarterbacks have had. First quarterback, adjusted EPA per play, 0.339. Second quarterback, 0.383. Third quarterback, 0.210. Completion percentage, first quarterback, 70.8. Second quarterback, 73. Third quarterback, 70.8. Yards per attempt, first quarterback, 9.3. Second quarterback, 9.6. Third quarterback, 8.4. Yards after the catch per completion, right? So how much of their yardage is attributed to the receiver getting yards after the catch? First quarterback, 6.3. Second quarterback, 6.5. Third quarterback, 6.7. Yak percentage, right? How much of their overall yards are from yards after the catch? First quarterback, 47.3. Second quarterback, 47.7. Third quarterback, 54.9. Deep passing success rate. First quarterback, 12.5. Second quarterback, 12.4. Third quarterback, 6.8. The first quarterback is 2016 Matt Ryan. What happened that year?
MVP.
The third quarterback, 2019 Jimmy Garoppolo. The second quarterback, 2023 Brock Purdy. Which one of those, 2016 Matt Ryan or 2019 Jimmy Garoppolo, is Brock Purdy most like? It's 2016 Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. It's MVP Matt Ryan. Did we have these discussions about how shitty Matt Ryan actually is? No, never. All we could talk about was how goddamn impressive Matt Ryan has been and this offense has been. And yet Brock Purdy is matching him or better in every single category. Every one of them. I don't know what else the kid has to do to prove that this is real, that this is not just Kyle Shanahan magician. It's real. What he's doing is real, and it's MVP worthy.
What's this going to be, the 13th game this week? I got to compare him to Matt Ryan. That's really good to really look at the numbers and everything. I'm going to take a look at that because, it's similar production, right? I mean, you look at the 2016 Falcons as Pete Kyle. Maybe the 2023 49ers are going to be Pete Kyle.
Might be better.
Maybe at the end of the day that's what it's going to look like. So, I mean, the Niners, that team had a lot of talent too, but not as much as the Niners. But tell you what, man, I mean, Purdy is operating it at that kind of a level. He really, really is. So, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like you said, like when you're arguing with Kurt Warner on Twitter, just because like you're some dude who thinks you know what you're talking, how could you even feel like if I really thought something and Kurt Warner about football and Kurt Warner said it differently, I might want to be like, well, do I have to rethink this?
Right.
Maybe did I not? Wrong. I might be a little bit off here because Kurt Warner is like disagrees with me here. So let me see it. But no, these people are just so set in their ways. It's pathetic, man.
Well, and that's
whatever.
And like I said, like, again, 2019 Jimmy, how much was Yak? 54%. How much is it for Purdy, who people continue to just say he's a yak merchant? The only reason he is as good as he is because all those players are getting yards after the catch. It's 7 percentage points less than Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think, and honestly, and here is, to me, here is the biggest reason and the biggest difference between Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, and why this offense has taken such a significant step with Brock Purdy and not over what it was with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that is the 12.45% success rate on deep throws is twice as much as what Jimmy Garoppolo had in 2019. Twice as much.
And that's really
huge.
What was missing from this offense with Garoppolo. It couldn't do anything downfield. Yeah. There was really no threat for that big play unless somebody broke one with the yak, and now that threat is there. So
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut. It's toothpaste? That's because the middle is the most important part. At Graybar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Graybar does that.
All right, let's hit the Seahawks game before we got to get out of here. Speaking of Purdy, so if Purdy hits 70% completion in this game, it would be 7 games in a row that he has done that. Joe Montana, I got to look this up specifically, I believe has the record for this. So Purdy has thrown in a single season 70% completion in 6 straight games. In 2016, Drew Brees and Sam Bradford did it in 7. That's the second most all time. And Joe Montana did it in 8 straight games in 1989. So Purdy can tie for second place if he has a 70% completion rate in this game. Against Seattle, who had been the Niners' nemesis forever, with Purdy at quarterback, they're 3-0. They average 31 points per game. Purdy has 8.8 yards per attempt, 7 touchdowns to 1 pick, and a rating of 111.5. Few things to look for in this game. So Brandon Ayuk is 73 yards away from 1,000 yards. If and when he gets it, he'll be the fourth 49ers wide receiver ever in franchise history to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Jerry Rice did it.
Oh, wow.
Terrell Owens did it. Anquan Bolden did it. That's it.
Bolden, yeah.
And John, a lot of people were like, what about John Taylor? It was a year in between for him. And I believe George Kittle's done it as well, but he's a tight end. But for receivers, those are the only ones. George Kittle is 7 yards away from being the 5th 49ers player in franchise history with 6,000 receiving yards. So he's right there. And then Nick Bosa, his next sack will put him 7th all time ahead of Ahmad Brooks.
Wild.
And he's 3 away from Charlie Kruger for 6th all time. And that is again within the franchise, all time within the franchise. Right. So you're seeing now with these Niners people.
Wow.
Remember, dude just got like 6 sacks every year for like 8 years. And that's how he got all those sacks.
Yeah.
But you're just seeing a lot of these Niners now. They're just doing things that are all-time franchise type stuff. That's the level of players they have. That's the kind of team that they have. So that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, especially considering the legacy that this franchise has, right? In terms of Hall of Famers and success on the field and all of that. But yeah, and the 49ers curb stomped the Cowboys at home, and the next game they played the Browns and they lost. And I know that there are those out there with some reservations. Here's how I think this game is different. This game is different because it's the Seahawks, right? Like, it's not just some rando opponent like the Browns, right? You're also at home. So there's a big difference there. I don't think this is a trap game. I really don't. And I don't think it is because this team relishes what they've been doing to the Seahawks over the past, 6 games now? I think they're 6-0 against the Seahawks in their last 6. And it's
4-0. It's 4-0.
Is it 4-0 in their last 4?
Yeah. Yeah. Because Seahawks beat them twice in Wilson's last year.
Okay.
So yeah, it's 4-0. 4-0. Yes.
Yeah. 4-0. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. 4-0. 4-0 in their last 4. I think they love what they're doing. I think they have no problem getting up for a game against Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. So I'm not particularly worried about it. The Seahawks defense is not very good. The Cowboys marched up and down the field on them. But the Seahawks offense looked a lot better against the Cowboys than it did against the 49ers. So that is one thing to look for. I think DK Metcalf is looking for a modicum of revenge because Charvarius Ward absolutely shut him down on Thanksgiving. I think he's probably amped up for this game. It'll be interesting to see if anything changes in terms of how the Seahawks offense looks to attack the 49ers defense, and also how the Seahawks defense looks to defend the 49ers offense. If you guys are interested in kind of the inner workings of scheme and things like that, Ted Wynn of the Athletic put out a really fantastic article today about how this 49ers offense essentially has an answer for everything or anything that you want to do on defense. And he uses what happened against the Eagles as an example, but there were just so many different like wrinkles that they threw at the Eagles that they don't normally use, but that's the advantage of having Kyle Shanahan, the scheme lord. Right. And so again, I don't see how Seattle wins this game unless the 49ers come out flat, are making tons of mistakes, or again, God forbid, suffer a significant injury. But I just think the only team that can beat the 49ers right now is the 49ers. And I think they are locked in. I think they have their eye on the prize. They know what they need to do. They know what it's going to take. And I don't think they're going to take any week off. I don't think they're going to take any opponent lightly. They want that 1 seed. They want that Super Bowl. And right now, nothing is going to get in their way. And so I have no problem predicting a 49ers victory. I think they score 30 again. I'm going to say 49ers win this game. I'll say 31-17.
Yeah, I think the spread is, 10.5 right now. And I think the Niners are going to cover that. I agree. It's going to be low 30s to high teens, low 20s type thing. And I think the Niners win it pretty easily. So there you have it. And 10-3. And I think they win the division if they win this game, right? They have to.
I believe they lock it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's anytime you lock the division down, it's huge. And anytime you do that against Seattle, it's a little bit more sweet. So
actually, I don't know that they lock it up because the Rams are now in second place.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, the Rams are in second place. Yep. And they still have
because the Rams are 6-6 now, right? I'm not even thinking of them as a threat, but
yeah,
it'll be just a matter of time before they lock it up. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, all right. Niners are going to kick their ass. It's going to be good. Yes. Then they're going to beat the Cardinals, and then we'll see where it is with that big game with the Ravens. But you got to feel Christmas good right now. So we'll see what happens on Sunday, and we'll be back to break it all down after. For Brian, I'm Al.
Brock Purdy's good.
Later.
9-0-3. 1, 2, 3.
.2400 Sports is an Odyssey company.
I'm Snoop Dogg, and I'm giving up smoke. I know what you're thinking. Snoop, smoke is kind of your whole thing. But I'm done with it. I'm done with the coughing and my clothes smelling all funky. I'm going smokeless. Solo Stove Fix 5. They took out the smoke. Now you can have a nice blaze without any clouds ruining your day. Go smokeless. Go to solostove.com. Tell them Big Snoop Dogg sent you.